So Politico's Holly Otterbein has a new memo from Conor Lamb's super PAC that I wanted to talk about because it's just everything about everything. And so this Conor Lamb super PAC. So Conor Lamb is kind of the blue dog running for Pennsylvania Senate in the Democratic primary against John Fetterman, who's kind of the Bernie bro biker guy that everybody is familiar with. And so the memo that Lamb's super PAC is circulating says that Lamb is behind Fetterman by 30 points. So this is an internal poll, from Lamb saying our guy is behind by 30 points. The primary is at May 17th, so there's not a whole lot of time to turn this around. It then says we tested Lamb and Fetterman against general election opponents, and Fetterman is beating Dr. Oz pretty easily and is losing by 3 points to McCormick, who's another Republican candidate. They said Lamb is not doing as well against Dr. Oz, and they didn't even include Lamb's head-to-head against McCormick.
Because he gets wrecked.
Because he's getting wrecked. So, to recap, the poll says, I'm losing by 30 points to Fetterman. I'm getting wrecked in the general. And then it says, what we need to do is spend millions of dollars telling Pennsylvanians that Fetterman is a socialist who wants to defund the police. That's what, so they want to attract millions of dollars from like the richest people in the country to call him a defunding socialist.
They should go further. What are his views on critical race theory? We
had him on, right? He said they're not.
Right.
He said they're not teaching it.
Right. Right. Yeah. They could play that clip of him on Rising. That'll be the end.
Yeah. Just spread that everywhere. Yeah. And so then in November, after they've spent millions of dollars savaging the guy, and he loses, they'll be like, "See, this is why you can't nominate progressives." So, great how that works. Kim, how do you think this will go for them? Do you think? But here's the thing: the money that would go into this super PAC doesn't actually care if Fetterman wins the general, and that's what's so interesting about this situation. So if they destroy Fetterman, but Fetterman still wins the primary, and then McCormick or Dr. Oz win the general, most of those super rich people that funded the super PAC, they would see that as a fine outcome because they're not actually Democrats, or they don't care, about John Fetterman or Conor Lamb. They just don't.
Yeah,
want
they just don't want the commie
up.
in there, right? That's what they're thinking. We just want the commie in there. Well, we've seen this kind of work out, unfortunately, against progressives with like Nina Turner and Shontel Brown, right? Where Shontel Brown was able to raise a lot of money and go up against Nina Turner, the more progressive, the one that was against the big money interest, and Shontel Brown obviously still won that election. So I certainly think that the big money is a problem. That is probably why Fetterman's doing really well, ironically. And then and then Conor Lamb doing the exact opposite of what really most people in America, I think, want. I think most everybody agrees we want money out of politics. We don't like that influence. And yet here's Conor Lamb, and he's going to go get a bunch of it. And his super PAC, that's not small donations necessarily.
I want politics out of money, I think.
Yes.
Okay. In fairness, right, for Robby.
Yeah. Let's not tar money with the association with politics.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Democratic primary voter, so.
I do think this could work, though, if they play on to the socialist stuff and say, he's a socialist,
money,
he's for critical race theory, all of these things that they could smear him and try to attach him to.
But he's kind of like a working class guy, right? So he's like, does he describe himself actually as a socialist, or is it the I'm a democratic socialist, and by that I don't mean the.
I wonder if he said that. He endorsed Bernie in 2016,
right?
And Bernie endorsed him in 2018. And so maybe it's
I assume he doesn't
socialist by
actually
association.
Want the means of production seized by a revolutionary
Probably
vanguard.
Not.
I hope
Probably not. That's why
because those are bad ideas.
And he's not also.
I am very against those ideas.
Yeah. Well, this will make you angry, Robby. They're also attacking him for "quote unquote" wanting to release felons because one of the big risks that he's taken as a politician, as lieutenant governor, has been to serve on these. And to work with parole boards to try to release people who are ready for rehabilitation. Yeah. And it's an example of why so few politicians are willing to take that risk, because when you're running for higher office, then a Conor Lamb super PAC will come at you and say, yeah, you just wanted Willie Horton out on the streets so he can go on another rape spree.
Mm-hmm.
Is this... Sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Well, I mean, just that's another thing that they could play up, I suppose, in order to, and I'm sure with more money they will. They'll run ads smearing him as, he's going to let dangerous people out on the streets. He's going to raise your taxes, take your money, and he's going to teach your kids all kinds of crazy things in schools. That probably would work.
The problem is it probably doesn't work over 2 months, 6 weeks between now and May 17th, because Fetterman people know Fetterman. If he was just out of nowhere, and also he doesn't, so much of our politics is about identity and typography, and he just doesn't look like a socialist.
Right.
He's like a 6'6" bearded biker looking dude, and so people are like, I think it's harder for that to land on him. But you're right. I think in the general, they if they spend enough money, they could undermine him doing that.
But an example of it not working was in Virginia with Glenn Youngkin, when Democrats were trying to say he's a Trumper, he's gonna
same thing. He didn't fit the type.
Right.
Like he had the vest. He didn't have a MAGA hat.
He didn't talk
he
like
shaved every day. Yeah, it's like, and so I think it was a similar thing. And Obama at one of the rallies even tried to undermine that and say just because he looks like a nice guy and he wears a vest and he wears jeans doesn't mean he's not a MAGA guy. Like even Obama recognized how hard it was going to be to get that to stick on somebody that just didn't fit. He just didn't have the kind of character traits and just didn't look like the MAGA guy.
No. Wouldn't it be amazing because now with Glenn Youngkin winning in Virginia, a lot of people, Republicans are scrambling, thinking we got to find ourselves another Glenn Youngkin, for all of their races. And so wouldn't it be amazing if Fetterman wins and then everybody on the left is like, we got to find more some progressive bikers and run them in campaigns all across America.
Ryan would be happy with that.
Yeah, run people that can identify with the working class or with whom the working class identifies. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Try that.
Yeah.
Let's
imagine
see
that.
Pete
Never
Buttigieg
mind.
can.
How about a corporate-tested Pete Buttigieg lookalike
Yeah.
instead? That sounds about right.
Yeah, go with that instead.
Well, we'll have more Rising right after this.